Hello, today we are going to be talking about Bitsboard. I haven't had a chance to do a placement in a school yet because of the pandemic, but I have been able to incorporate some of the accessible technology that we've learned in this course with my own children. It has really helped my daughter who is in grade 1. When we learned about Bitsboard in this class, I thought it would be the perfect app for her just to help her with some of her reading skills and her sight words. Going through and learning Bitsboard was not hard. It was a very simple app to get used to, but had so much to offer. You can customize each of the boards to which games you want to offer. Within those games, you can also customize the controls. So if you want to make a game harder or more challenging, you can. Another great feature on Bitsboard is the switch control accessibility. So if you have a student that has one of those switch controls, there are, I think, about 12 games that are compatible with the switch control. The only ones that are really not compatible are the ones that need to be dragged and dropped or traced. But if it's a true or false or a pop quiz, they can move easily with the switch control to select an option. There's also the accessibility feature for students who are visually impaired. You can change the contrast level and make it high contrast so that the background is white and the words are black, making it easier for students who are visually impaired to see their options and read the words. It's a really great tool as well for students who are struggling with reading, as there's an audio component to it. If an audio word that you need to have in there is not listed and there's no audio file for it, you can easily record your own. What I really like about Bitsboard is that it is a game-based learning app. It really helps those students who learn through repetition and motivates them to want to play the game. So now that we've talked a bit about Bitsboard, I'm going to just walk you through the process of creating a Bitsboard and how you can change some of those controls that I talked about. So the first thing you're going to do is turn on your iPad, unlock it, and then you're going to go find the Bitsboard. I just have mine in education here, and you click it on. So these are some of the boards that I have for my daughter. If you go into any of the Bitsboard, these are her words from, I believe, a couple weeks ago. So these are the games that I've selected. These are the ones that are easier for her and that are most motivating for her, that she'll choose to play every time. So if you go into one of the boards, so you're going to find words, and you're going to find words, that, they. So another feature in some of these games is you can choose if this would be only horizontal or vertical or diagonal to make this game more challenging. You can also change how many letters are listed on the word search. To go back to your Bitsboard, you would just choose the little Bitsboard icon up here. You can see these little squares. That'll take you back to your Bitsboard, and then they can select any game that they like. I'm going to go back to home, and I'm going to show you how to create your own Bitsboard. You go to Add Board. It's going to ask you for a code to make sure you're not a child creating words. And then it'll say Create New Board. You enter in what you want to call it. I'm going to call this one Test. So the first screen that you're going to see is where you're going to create each one of these little bits for the Bitsboard. It'll give you an option for a picture, it'll give you an option for text, and then there's an option for audio. And if there is no audio for the word that you're selecting, you can record it for the child and then incorporate some sort of picture to create the little bits for the Bitsboard. So here we'll just add the word art, hit done. Options for art will come up. We can leave that one. I'll click on the audio and you'll be able to hear what it's going to sound like for the student. Art. And once you've got the audio, the picture, and the word, you just hit plus to add more words. And that Bitsboard is done. So now that we have 3 words, you can go into settings, which is the little gear up here. You're going to click on it and you're going to select games. So you can turn off the games, and then you just want to click on the ones that you want to use. So say memory cards, pop quiz, true or false, word search, just to name a few. Now you can go back into settings and go to board creator at the top here. And this is where you can change the options of the game. So say in word search, you want it to have a minimum of 4 words. Well, you can bump that up to having a minimum of 7 words and a maximum of 10 words. Here you can turn on whether or not you want horizontal, vertical, diagonal, horizontal backwards, vertical backwards, overlapping words. So then for pop quiz, again, you can choose to have 4 words show up for the pop quiz, or you can make it less challenging and only have 2 words pop up for the pop quiz. If you have a student that's really struggling, you might want to have the options down lower so that they don't get discouraged and they'll keep using this, and then slowly make it more challenging. Okay, and when you're done, you just hit done. You can go back out to the Bitsboard. It will have created just those games that you asked it to create, and it'll only have the words in it that you had put in. So for pop quiz, there's 2 words to choose from. Again, if you wanted to make this harder, you would make it have 8 or 4. So I'm just going to show you some of the games that can be played with the switch control. Games like True or False, where they just have to select something on the right or the left, is one of the games that they can use for switch control. But games like this one, where they actually have to drag the sound to the image, are not games that they can use with the switch control accessibility feature. You can go into settings, and this is where you would find it in your iPad to set all the different settings. You can select only your classes, you can show ad boards, you can do viewer stats. So this is where I can see how Elsie's been doing. You can select games, so every time you go to create a Bitsboard, if you know your student really only likes the 12 main games that they've been playing, you can select and turn off these other ones, and it just won't give them as an option until you come back in here and change it. So pretty much any of these games that Bitsboard offers, you can tailor them to be easier, harder, challenging, progressively challenging. All of that kind of stuff can be done in here. If you go into general over here, this is where you're going to find this increased contrast, and you can click on it so that all of these games will now be in high contrast, which will be easier for your student to see. And let's just go in here and see. So in Pop Quiz, you're going to see that instead of having a gray background, it's now a black background with white. Instead of these buttons being blue on gray, it's black on white, so it's easier for someone who has visual issues to actually see the board. And that's about your basic walkthrough of Bitsboard and all of the features that it has. If you haven't checked out Bitsboard yet, I highly recommend you do.